Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today we are going to start our reviews of the NHL Stanley Cup Playoff Series matchups, and we're starting off with a rematch of last year, Tampa Bay versus Toronto. Now, this was a fantastic series last season. I thought it was finally going to be the moment where the Tampa Bay Lightning were going to be knocked out of the first round, not make it to the finals, and Toronto was going to finally go over that hump. But then it wasn't to be, as Vasilevsky and the Tampa Bay Lightning shut down the Maple Leafs in Game 7 with Nick Paul sealing the deal. And a lot of questions after that, because I was like, that was the year for the Maple Leafs to win. I mean, Jack Campbell was standing on his head. Their guys were actually somewhat showing up, except, of course, the always unfortunate missing of Mitch Marner. But this is a new year. This is a new season going into this playoffs, and it's two different teams now. So let's talk about it. So this season alone, currently going into the playoffs, as of this moment, in 2 days, their first game will happen on Monday. Today's Saturday, so in 2 days, first game. Right now, the Maple Leafs are hot, ending the season with a 4-game winning streak, which one of those teams in that winning streak was the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are going into this playoffs in a bizarre fashion. I mean, this team is going from 1 week, literally, like 2 weeks ago, losing all 4 of their games, to the next week winning, like, 2 shutouts and, like, letting 1 goal. They let, like, 1 goal in the entire week and winning 3 games. And, like, this team is so back and forth, I don't even know what to think anymore about the Tampa Bay Lightning. The beginning of the year was fine, but they've just been so all over the place this season. So earlier in the year, though, this season series between these two teams has been in Toronto's advantage. December 20th, well, actually, December 3rd, Tampa Bay wins the first game 4-3 in overtime, but the last 2, Toronto has taken home the bacon. So December 20th, 4-1 win for Toronto, and April 11th, 4-3 win for Toronto. So Toronto's had their numbers their last two meetings of the season, so that's already not in Tampa's advantage. Tampa's also been so shaky as of late, so that's not looking good for them. But let's take a look at their top guys, the superstars. I mean, we know the tale of the tape already here. Of course, top guys, 3 top guys for the Maple Leafs, so you can include the 4th one in Tavares. But on the year, Marner with 99 points, 1 point shy of reaching the 100-point club for the Maple Leafs. Just unfortunate, but leads the team in points with 99. 30 goals. Nylander and Matthews tied this year for goals with 40 each. 87 points for Nylander, 85 for Austin Matthews. John Tavares is right below them, and I believe he scored 36 goals, don't quote me on that, but he was up there in the 30s of goals and just behind Matthews and Nylander in points, but I just limited the number to 3 players. But then on the other side, the flip side, Kucherov, 113 points. Incredible. I feel like one of the guys who always flies under the radar. Like, we all know he's fantastic, but no one, like, ever cares about it happening. And I think it's probably because Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. Like, if it was on Toronto, it would be a big deal, but Tampa Bay probably not, because there's just not a lot of media that comes from Tampa Bay. Braden Point reaching the 50-point club with 51 goals this year, leading the team with 95 points, which is incredible. And Stamkos having a little bit of a down year with only 34 goals, but 84 points, still not too shabby. In net between these two teams. Now we know, Tampa Bay, Andrei Vasilevsky, my opinion, the best goaltender to ever live. Sorokin and Shesterkin and some of the young guys, Ottinger coming up, might be in like a year. Maybe next year I will give him that torch. But in the postseason, sure, those guys might play better in the regular season, but in the postseason, nobody touches Andrei Vasilevsky. His last 3 seasons in the playoffs, last 3 playoffs runs, 19-20, so the year that they did win it, their first win, had a 1.9 save goals against average and a .927 save percentage. Pretty clean. Pretty nice. I mean, that's less than 2 goals a game he's averaging. He's less than 2. That's incredible. Same number next season, the second time they won the Stanley Cup, 1.9 again, which is incredible, and an even better save percentage with a .937, a whole .01 better, .01 better than last season. Incredible. Last year they lose the playoffs, of course. They don't win the Stanley Cup, but they make it to the finals. Still pretty good numbers with a 2.35. So, I mean, there's a kind of shows that he's starting to crack there, but no one is better than Vasilevsky when it comes to goaltending in the playoffs. But on the other side, Ilya Samsonov, supposed to start for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is where I question everything that the Maple Leafs do. Every year, it's the same story with the Maple Leafs. It's the same story. Goaltending and defense. Their core four are fantastic, but the defense and goaltending. And last year, they finally get Jack Campbell. This year, they're going into it with Samsonov, who in his playoff career, he's a 1-6. That is not good. That is just not good. I mean, just plain and simple. Unfortunate Matt Murray, who is the playoff experienced guy, can't play. But 1-6, not looking good there. Don't like those numbers. And yeah, sure, people can change things, but not looking good. And sure, that was with the Capitals, not the Maple Leafs. But still, you got to think he'd win at least more than one. But there it is. His numbers in the playoffs. So he's never won a series. This season, though, 2.33, .919. Good numbers, I gotta say. Good numbers. Not the best, but it's above average, I'd say. So Samsonov, interesting goalie there. So, interesting. So the stats of these teams. So these teams going into it, what are their numbers as teams this year, right? Goals for, both very similar to each other. 9th and number 8th in the NHL. Tampa Bay with 280 goals this year, and Toronto with 278. They're 8th and 9th in the NHL, so right there, right next to each other. Where they differentiate, though, is goals against. 220, which is the 7th best in the NHL this season, and Tampa Bay with 252, which is 19th. Not very good. Not very good at all, especially for a team you got to think with Hedman and Sergachev, who's looked lights out this year, and with Vasilevsky in net. Like, this team's got a lot of good defense and goaltending, but they're 19th. Now, I know, they really show up for the playoffs, and I know Tampa Bay, after 4 years of playoff hot, really longer than that if you really want to look at it, but I'm sure at this point in these guys' career, they don't care. Couldn't care less about this regular season and playing amazing, outstanding defense and goaltending, right? I'm sure that's probably the case, and in the playoffs, they really light it up. So those numbers, I kind of just like, yeah, whatever. They play a lot of hockey. I'm sure they don't care anymore. They know they're going to make the playoffs, and that's all they care about. So that number, I kind of like, eh. But Toronto, defense and goaltending, their problem, 7th best in the NHL when it comes to getting scored on. So that shows you there that maybe there is a change there. I mean, with guys like Giordano and Riley back there and Lindgren, like, you got to think, like, yeah, they're changing things. Not changing things, but they're fixing some of those holes. But I don't know. Now, this is an interesting one. So, in the goals for category as well, I decided, okay, the whole story has always been with Toronto is it's just the 4 guys, right? It's the 4 guys that make them $40 million, take up more than half the cap on this team. So, I decided to compare, and guess what? These two teams, when it comes to producing goals, are very similar in the way they're constructed. Top 4 players, top 4 goal scorers for the Maple Leafs, surprise, surprise, Nylander, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, combined for 146 goals out of their 278, okay? Just to show you that. Now, on the Tampa Bay side, their top 4 guys are Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, I believe Brandon Hagel, and then Nikita Kucherov. I believe those are the 4 guys. They combined, their 4 top goal scorers combined for 145. So relatively similar there. I mean, Braden Point being the jump out guy with the goals, 51 this season. Usually you could point that to Austin Matthews. I mean, of course, the guy's a legend when it comes to scoring goals. Could maybe be up there in the breaking of Gretzky's record eventually in his career, but who knows. But when it comes to top goal scoring, very similarly built. So my question going into the playoffs this year for the Tampa Bay Lightning is, where's the depth? And I'm going to jump to that in a second. But power play, very similar as well. 25.4 for Tampa, 26 for the Maple Leafs. So right there next to each other. They're literally number 2 and 3 in the NHL. So very good power plays. Penalty kills, once again, very similar, 81.9% for the Toronto Maple Leafs and 79.7%. So a little bit of an edge to the Maple Leafs, but overall it's like not too, it's not a different enough number to really give a huge edge there. But my questions for these two teams going into the playoffs, biggest one for Toronto, and has been every single year for their playoffs, is will the core guys show up? And I know I'm not just saying anything groundbreaking there, but really that is the big deal with this team. Will Mitch Marner actually play good in the playoffs? I mean, if he's ever had a better year, 99 points, almost joining a history of the Maple Leafs, almost there, didn't do it. But if there's a season where he's producing, it's this year. Can he be the heartbeat of this team? Matthews, can he score goals? Nylander, I'm not going to say anything bad about him. He's always consistent no matter what. He's the consistent one of the team. He's not getting 100 points. He's not going to score 50 goals, but he is the guy that's going to be like the third best guy on the team every year, and he is. That just plain and simple, he is. So Nylander shows up in the playoffs. That's the type of guy you need. John Tavares, I got to say, got rocked by Sergachev a few weeks ago. I got to think maybe he goes in there in the playoffs. There seems to be a common occurrence of him I guess this is actually not true, but a guy getting run over, Sergachev looking for blood against him. Maybe he gets pounded out of the series. Who knows? Maybe Tavares goes in, Sergachev lights him up again, gives him a concussion, sends him out. I know that's grim, but I'm just saying. Just a possible thing that happened just recently, just last week. So, just saying some ideas, right? So, big question, will the top guys show up? And Samsonov, last season, the Toronto Maple Leafs relied on Soup to keep him in the playoffs. It felt like he was the only thing keeping them in it because their top guy's not showing up. Will Samsonov be that guy, or will they need him to be that guy? That's the main key there. Will they need to have Samsonov be that guy? Because I don't see that happening. Some goalies in my head, I'm like, I could see them being like put them in a pressure tank and they will either turn into a diamond or turn into dust. Samsonov is not that guy. Jack Campbell, I could see being that guy, and he showed it last season. This year, I don't see Samsonov being him. I just have never seen that potential for him to shine. So for him, I don't see it happening, and will they make that happen? Because if they do, I don't see Samsonov being the type of guy to get a 1.9 save percentage. I don't see him keeping his... I can see him being the goalie to give their team a chance to win, but not the goalie that's going to win games. You know what I mean? There's a big difference there. And on the flip side, Tampa Bay, what are they going to do to shake off this mess that they're in right now? Because right now they're in an absolute rut. They could win the first two games of the series, 6-0 and 4-0, and then the next 3 games lose 5-0. Right, just the same exact way back at it. So can they shake off what the hell's happening? And my biggest question is depth. Their biggest thing, Tampa's always been known that they have their top guys and they're so good at circulating their depth back there. When it comes to Barclay Goodrow, when it comes to bringing in guys like Brandon Hagel, who's stuck around, Nick Paul, who's stuck around now, they're always good at recycling the depth back there. But this season, I don't know. They lost Andre Palat, and this is an interesting number I saw, that Andre Palat had 7 third-period goals last year against the Toronto Maple Leafs. 7. That is big. That is big time that they're missing from this lineup, a guy missing from this lineup. Will someone from this team pick it up when Stamkos isn't the guy to score, when Braden Point isn't the guy to score? Do they have that sneaky guy who's going to get some of those important need-to-get goals? And that is a question that I don't know if they have that. Jeannot, I don't know. I mean, he's okay, but he's not. Is he that type of guy to fill in that spot? Killorn, I don't know. He was kind of invisible last playoffs. So, I don't know. But Braden Point, the lifeblood of this team, really, the heartbeat that keeps everything running because he's a fireball. Can he be the guy to do that? I don't know, but they're going to need someone to step up. Victor Hedman's going to need to play all the defense in the world because the Maple Leafs, if they've got anything, it's supreme and elite offense, and their guys back there. But if there's a team to suppress that, it's the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, really, tail of the tape here. Two teams that have a lot of offense, but the difference that offensively they match. Offensively they match. And even though the numbers might show differently, you've got a defensive giant in Tampa Bay with Hedman, Sergachev, and Vasilevsky. How are you going to score against that? Well, if there's a team that can score against that, it's Toronto. But the thing is, the Tampa Bay Lightning can score too. Can Toronto's defense of Riley and Giordano stop the offensive pressure? And can Samsonov make some good saves to keep him in it? I don't know. Personally, my prediction for this series, I think I said yesterday Toronto maybe, but I can't bet it. No, I didn't. I don't see Tampa Bay losing to this team. I think they'll lose to the Boston Bruins, but I don't think they lose this year. I think Toronto last year was your time to shine, and this year just isn't it. So that is all I have to say. That is the end of this video. So thank you for watching this. If you made it this far, please, I'm begging you, pick up your free subscription down below. And look out for my next video. I don't know who it'll be on yet, but it'll be up soon. So thank you for watching this. Until next time, too sweet. Hope you're having an amazing day. Look out for the next video. And ta-ta for now.